He arrived in a world searching for hope and somehow spent a lifetime giving it away. Dick Van Dyke became more than a performer whose name appeared on posters and television screens. He became a feeling people carried with them. For generations, his smile, his dancing, and his effortless humor represented warmth in a changing world. His journey was never about perfection, it was about connection. He stumbled, laughed, sang, and moved through life with a rare openness that made audiences feel like they knew him personally. From difficult beginnings during the Depression to decades of unforgettable performances, he built a legacy based not on fame alone, but on kindness and optimism. Now, as time finally asks him to slow down, the world is seeing a different side of the man behind the laughter. Fans are not mourning a dramatic ending. They are reflecting on a beautiful life that continues to inspire. Dick Van Dyke's final chapter reminds people that growing older does not mean losing wonder. Sometimes the greatest performance is simply living honestly, peacefully, and joyfully until the very end. The early years that shaped a beloved entertainer's spirit. Dick Van Dyke's story began far away from Hollywood glamour in West Plains, Missouri, where he was born in 1925. His childhood unfolded during the hardship of the Great Depression, an era that taught many families resilience, gratitude, and determination. Those early experiences quietly shaped the qualities that later defined him. Before audiences knew him as a legendary performer, he was simply a young man trying to understand his place in the world. His path was not perfectly planned. He served in the United States Air Force during World War II, then explored opportunities in radio and entertainment. There was no immediate sign that he would become one of America's most cherished entertainers. He was not introduced as a flawless performer with guaranteed success. Instead, he carried a natural curiosity and an ability to make people feel comfortable. Those qualities became more valuable than technical perfection. His humor came from sincerity rather than calculation. His dancing came from enthusiasm rather than a desire to impress. Long before he became famous, Dick Van Dyke possessed the most important quality an entertainer could have: the ability to bring happiness into ordinary moments and make people feel included. A unique talent that changed television forever. When Carl Reiner recognized Dick Van Dyke's special energy, television gained one of its most memorable partnerships. The creation of The Dick Van Dyke Show transformed him from a promising performer into a household name. The series succeeded because it felt genuine. Viewers did not simply watch actors performing scripted scenes. They felt invited into a world filled with friendship, family, workplace humor, and everyday experiences. Dick's character balanced intelligence, kindness, and a playful sense of vulnerability that made him instantly relatable. He was not afraid to look silly, make mistakes, or laugh at himself. That willingness became one of his greatest strengths. Many performers chase an image of perfection, but Dick created something more enduring by showing humanity. His physical comedy, expressive reactions, and cheerful personality made difficult situations appear lighter. The show became a landmark because it captured a certain warmth that audiences continue to appreciate decades later. His success proved that entertainment does not always require extravagance. Sometimes the most powerful moments come from authenticity, timing, and emotional honesty. Through television, Dick Van Dyke created memories that remained alive in families who watched together and discovered comfort in his remarkable ability to turn simple stories into shared experiences, the magical performances that define generations. After conquering television, Dick Van Dyke stepped onto the biggest stages of entertainment and created characters that became cultural treasures. His role as Bert in Mary Poppins remains one of the most recognizable performances in movie history. The image of him dancing across London rooftops captured something almost impossible to describe. He seemed completely free, as if movement itself was a form of happiness. His singing, humor, and charm turned a fictional chimney sweep into a symbol of optimism. Although some critics focused on technical details, audiences remembered the spirit he brought to the role. He made people believe that ordinary lives could contain extraordinary moments. His performance showed that joy does not need a complicated explanation. It can exist in a song, a smile, or a dance shared with others. Later, films such as Chitty, Chitty, Bang, Bang expanded his legacy and introduced his talents to new generations. His work became timeless because he never treated happiness as something childish or unrealistic. Instead, he presented joy as something valuable and necessary. Through every unforgettable character, Dick Van Dyke reminded viewers that imagination, kindness, and laughter could survive even in a complicated world. A career built through endless passion and purpose. Many entertainers eventually step away when decades of success have already secured their legacy, but Dick Van Dyke continued performing because creativity gave his life meaning. He never seemed motivated only by recognition or awards. Work represented connection, discovery, and personal fulfillment. Whether appearing in television projects, movies, or special performances, he approached each opportunity with enthusiasm. His later career showed that age did not erase his curiosity. Instead, it added another layer to his remarkable journey. His role in Diagnosis Murder introduced him to audiences who had grown up after his earliest successes. Younger viewers discovered the same warmth and humor that earlier generations had loved. Even when he reached ages when many people choose a quieter existence, he continued embracing opportunities to entertain. His dedication came from a belief that purpose keeps people engaged with life. For Dick, creativity was never simply a profession, it was a way of communicating kindness. Every performance allowed him to share a piece of himself with strangers around the world. That commitment explains why audiences felt such affection for him. They were not only watching an actor, they were witnessing a person who genuinely enjoyed bringing happiness to others. The quiet beauty found beyond the spotlight. The final chapter of a legendary life often looks different from the moments that created fame. For Dick Van Dyke, recent years have been quieter and more personal. Away from major productions and crowded stages, he has embraced simple pleasures that reveal the person behind the performer. Time spent near the ocean, moments with family, watching classic films, and enjoying peaceful routines reflect a life filled with appreciation. The world once saw him moving across rooftops and television studios, but now people are touched by images of him simply existing comfortably and peacefully. There is something deeply human about seeing a beloved entertainer no longer chasing applause. Instead, he enjoys music because he loves it, not because an audience is waiting. He sings because the joy remains inside him. He watches the world around him because curiosity never disappeared. This quieter existence does not diminish his legacy, it adds another meaningful chapter. After decades of giving energy to millions, he has earned moments of stillness. His peaceful days remind people that a fulfilling life is not measured only by achievements. Sometimes the most beautiful moments happen when there is no performance required and no audience watching. A timeless appearance that captured global hearts. When Dick Van Dyke appeared in the music video for Coldplay's All My Love, audiences around the world experienced a powerful reminder of his enduring spirit. Seeing him dance barefoot and smile at such an advanced age moved people deeply. The reaction was not simply about surprise or nostalgia, it was about witnessing someone fully present in his own life. He did not appear to be recreating the past, he appeared to be celebrating the moment he was living. That distinction mattered. People were emotional because they saw authenticity. They saw someone who had experienced decades of success, hardship, change, and personal growth, yet still embraced happiness. The performance became another chapter in a career defined by emotional generosity. It showed that the qualities people loved about him had never disappeared. His movements carried the same sense of freedom that audiences recognized in earlier roles. His smile carried the same warmth that filled television screens generations earlier. The world did not see an aging star trying to prove something. It saw a person enjoying life completely. That simple image became powerful because it represented hope, resilience, and the beautiful possibility of remaining connected to joy at every stage of existence. The lasting legacy of a gentle entertainment. Legend, Dick Van Dyke's legacy cannot be measured only through trophies, famous roles, or records of achievement. His greatest contribution is the emotional memory he created for generations of people. He showed audiences that comedy could be compassionate, that performance could be sincere, and that success could coexist with humility. Many entertainers become famous, but fewer become symbols of a feeling. Dick became associated with happiness itself. His career demonstrated that laughter has value beyond entertainment. It can comfort people, bring families together, and create moments that remain meaningful for decades. As fans reflect on his later years, they are not simply remembering the past, they are recognizing the lessons his life continues to offer. He teaches that purpose can continue after fame changes. He teaches that kindness can outlast popularity. He teaches that growing older does not require surrendering curiosity or delight. The world may remember his dances, songs, and characters forever, but the deepest memory will likely be the person behind them. Dick Van Dyke spent his life giving audiences reasons to smile. His final chapter shows that a life filled with generosity can leave a lasting light long after the applause becomes quiet. The graceful farewell of a remarkable human journey. Every legendary career eventually reaches a quieter place where reflection replaces constant activity. Dick Van Dyke's story is moving because it does not end with dramatic final scenes or attempts to preserve an impossible image of youth. Instead, it continues with acceptance, gratitude, and peace. The man who once filled theaters and television screens now represents something even more meaningful, the beauty of living honestly through every stage of existence. His journey reminds people that legends are not separate from ordinary human experiences. They age, remember, miss friends, enjoy small pleasures, and find comfort in simple moments. That realization makes him more inspiring, not less. His life proves that greatness is not only found in extraordinary achievements, it is also found in the way someone treats others and approaches each day. Dick Van Dyke taught audiences how to laugh, but he also taught them how to appreciate life itself. As the world watches this final chapter unfold, admiration continues because his greatest performance was never a single role. It was the way he lived. With warmth, humor, humility, and endless gratitude, he showed generations that joy is something worth protecting until the very end.